Hey guys, welcome back to another model kit build. Today I'm working on the Aoshima Nissan Leopard. And right now we're just looking at the parts and all the decals that comes with it. It includes a very nice window masking, so you don't have to go out of your way to mask out any of the windows. And here is the body mold. And the windows as well look pretty decent. I believe this build was in a few other kits that they sold in the past, and the reason why I say that is because there are options for you to upgrade the Nissan Leopard to a street car, or more of like even a police cruiser almost. I believe this kit was released over the years and re-released up until this point. I noticed that there was a police cruiser option and a upgraded streetcar version of the Nissan Leopard. Anyways, since we got that out of the way, let's get on to the build. To first begin with the kit, I started with the underbody. So once I assembled the front suspension for the front wheels, I realized that I put the wrong set. This was because I used the lower suspension option rather than the normal suspended one. I would later go to fix this, however the damage was already done by the end of the build. The kit included a set of 4 poly caps and 2 pins to use for the wheels to function properly. So after going ahead and putting together the rest of the joints for the front wheels, I pre-assembled the wheels onto the front axle. I realized that these wheels actually belong to the rear axle, so I ended up changing it at the end. After doing so, I finished the rest of the assembly for the front axles. I then moved on to working on the back axle. For this build, I was going to make the kit itself very simple, since I intend to use this kit as more of a background prop to what's coming in the future. So instead of airbrushing the undercarriage, I actually went ahead and used the Tamiya's weathering kit, and I used gunmetal to kind of expose some of the parts to the elements and to kind of give the effect that the undercarriage was slightly weathered. The exhaust that was included in the kit wasn't too good. There was a lot of flash that I did have to sand off at the very end. And I did have to drill some holes in. However, I didn't get the precise drilling to kind of make the illusion that they were already there. After attempting to drill in holes at the end of the exhaust pipes, they turned out somewhat successful. However, my drill bits were too large for the exhaust pipes, so there was some damage to the bottom piece. After drilling the exhaust pipes, I went ahead and actually painted the undercarriage exhaust with Tamiya's chrome silver. After doing so, I went ahead and started my work on the actual body of the car. The body overall was pretty well, however there was some sanding needed. I first went ahead and started a base primer coat with the Krylon's primer spray. I actually went ahead and wet sanded it to kind of give a smoother finish so that the paint wouldn't be so jagged and rugged after the application. To sand the primer coat, I went ahead and actually used a 2500 grit sanding sponge and made sure to very lightly sand the coat up, making sure not to sand away the initial primer coat. After wet sanding the body's first primer coat, I went ahead and started airbrushing the body with Tamiya's X2 White. Although this left a gloss finish, although I opted to use white for this, I actually decided on using flat blue as the final color for the body. In some other images that I saw of the Nissan Leopard, there were two parts that were painted. So the bottom part of the body where the bumpers would be at, those were painted with Tamiya's titanium silver. After airbrushing those with a few coats, I went ahead and actually masked them off for the flat blue that I was going to airbrush onto it. I gave the body a total of 5 flat blue coats. After allowing the paint to dry, I peeled off the masking tape. After peeling away the excess masking tape, I then moved on to the body's window rims. I began this process by masking away the entire body but the rims. To cut out the rim parts, I used an X-Acto knife. After allowing the paint to dry, I then peeled off the masking tape. After peeling off the masking, I noticed that there were quite a bit of mistakes on the body. Fortunately enough, since I haven't applied the lacquer coat yet, I was able to fix it with Tamiya's flat blue to correct any errors that the masking tape did not pick up on. I then glued together the mirrors onto the body. Viewing some reference photos of the actual car, I noticed that the rims had a silver rim and a rubber and more of a black rim to it. So in order to achieve that same look, I painted the lower rims with a Sharpie. To finish off the undercarriage, I painted the exhaust pipe. After the exhaust pipes were finished painting, I moved on to painting the clear coat for the body. This just involved me using Rust-Oleum's Lacquer Clear. To wet sand the body, I began by using Godhand's 2000 grit sanding sponge. I then moved on to, later, a 2500 grit sanding sponge. To paint the headlights and brake lights, I would use a 1mm chrome marker. In order not to mess up the emblems, I painted a piece of sprue with a chrome marker so I could stamp on the chrome onto the raised emblems. I then carefully painted the chrome rims of where the license plate would be at. After finishing the painting of the rims for the trunk, I moved on to painting the grille. Once I finished painting the grille, I then moved on to gluing the grille together with the headlights. I then assembled the parts to the front body. After the assembly was finished, I glued together the glass parts for the headlights. To make the rims, I used a Sharpie to draw along the ends of the glass parts. After doing so, I started to paint the brake lights. This just revolved around me just painting the brake lights with Tamiya's clear red and clear orange. To correct any mistakes on the clear parts, I would fix it with 70% isopropyl alcohol. After assembling the brake lights, I moved on to gluing together the license plates. I first glued together the metal license plates onto some of the plastic parts using super glue. After gluing together the license plates onto the body, I went ahead and moved on to the polishing of the body. I would start the polishing process using regular car polish. After doing so, I would then move on to Tamiya's Fine Finish polishing compound. And then moving to Tamiya's Finish compound. I really did like what I got from the results of using these two, and I would recommend using them again. After the body and underbody were done, I went ahead and actually started painting the interior. I started off with a dark gray and debated which colors to use. However, at the end I did manage to just use Vallejo's khaki as the main color scheme of the interior. And as you can tell from the footage, for the interior I did go ahead and brush paint it using a regular paintbrush. After I finished painting the dashboard, I moved on to the main hull of the interior, which was the floor and the back seats. After doing so, I then painted the door panels, making sure to carefully paint them. I then went ahead and actually painted the chairs with Vallejo's Iraqi sand, and after doing so, I went ahead and also painted the front seats as well. Although resulting in a few extra coats, the overall paint job was pretty decent. After painting the front seats, I then assembled them onto the interior. After gluing them, I went ahead and actually painted the details of the interior, such as the speakers and the car door interior parts. This did take a lot of precision work here, however, I did try my best to kind of paint within the lines. Unfortunately for this build, I did not include the painting of the dashboard and the decal applications of the dashboard. However, what I can say as a very quick summary is that the decals for the dashboard were actually pretty decent and they fit properly. I did have to cut out a few of the excess decal. However, after that, the result turned out perfect. After I finished painting the car's interior's details, I then moved on to painting the car body's interior. After the paint was dried, I assembled the rest of the interior. After doing so, I went ahead and actually airbrushed the windows, making sure to mask them off first. To paint the windows, I used Tamiya's flat black. After allowing the paint to dry and peeling off the masking, I set myself to put together the decals. This part, however, was not filmed. After the assembly of the windows, I went ahead and actually airbrushed the sunroof parts with Tamiya's X19 Smoke. After gluing the body, underbody, and interior together, the model was complete.